The loud knock on the front door echoed through the quiet mansion like a thunderclap. The young woman standing barefoot in the hallway froze, her heart slamming into her ribs. She wasn't used to fear. Not with armed guards, towering gates, and cameras watching every inch of the estate. But the men at her door wore dark suits, held leather briefcases, and had the kind of stern expressions that made her stomach twist. "Miss," the older man said, adjusting his glasses, "we're here on behalf of Mr. Henry Cole." Her mouth went dry. Henry? The homeless man she fed 3 weeks ago? Why were lawyers at her door for him? Before she could speak, the younger attorney lifted a sealed envelope. "It concerns the gentleman you helped downtown," he said. "We need to discuss his final instructions." Final. The word crashed into her chest. She clutched the door frame to steady herself as her vision blurred. What happened to him?" she whispered. The older lawyer didn't answer. Instead, he gently said, "Miss, we can explain everything, but you may want to sit down first." And just like that, her world tilted. The memory that would change her life forever came rushing back, sharp as broken glass. 3 weeks earlier, the city streets were loud, busy, impatient, everything she wasn't. Growing up as the daughter of one of the biggest real estate billionaires in the country meant she learned early how to sit straight, smile politely, and never inconvenience anyone with emotions. But that morning she couldn't stop trembling. The board meeting she had just escaped had turned into a battlefield. Investors arguing, her father yelling, voices rising until she stepped out, feeling small despite her privilege. She just wanted fresh air, a moment alone, a moment to breathe. That was when she saw him. At first she thought he was asleep against the brick wall beside a crowded cafe. But then she noticed his shaking hands, his hollow eyes, the way he tried to stay awake so no one would steal the worn backpack sitting beside him. He looked broken. Not by laziness, not by choice, but by life. People walked past him like he didn't exist, stepping over him, around him, as if he were trash on the sidewalk. Something inside her cracked. She walked into the cafe, bought the biggest breakfast they had, and carried it outside. When she approached him, he flinched, like he expected to be yelled at or kicked. She crouched down instead. "Hi," she said softly. "I got you something to eat, if that's okay with you." He lifted his head slowly. His eyes, tired, sunken, but strangely gentle, met hers. He stared at the food, confused at first, then overwhelmed. Are you sure?" he rasped. "Yes," she whispered. "You deserve to eat." His throat tightened. For a moment she thought he would refuse. Instead, he bowed his head, took the warm container with both hands, and whispered something she never forgot. "No one's talked to me like I'm a person in a long time." She felt her chest squeeze. He ate in small bites, fighting tears the entire time. She stayed with him until he finished, listening to the city roar around them like it had no idea a life was being held together in front of her. When he stood to leave, he paused. "What's your name?" she asked. He hesitated, then shook his head. "Names don't matter when you have nothing left." He walked away slowly, blending into the crowd until she couldn't see him anymore. She didn't know why, but that moment haunted her for days. His voice, his trembling hands, the sadness in his eyes, the way he looked like a man trying desperately not to fall apart. She wanted to help more, to find him again, to ask what happened to him. But she never saw him again. Not until today. Not until the lawyers appeared on her doorstep. She sank into the velvet couch as the attorneys stepped inside. Her hands shook as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Please," she whispered, "tell me what happened to him." The younger lawyer opened the folder. His name was Henry Cole. He wasn't always homeless. He actually once owned a mid-sized manufacturing company. A good one. Well respected. The young woman blinked, confused. A businessman? Not a beggar? Not a drifter? The lawyer continued. But then his wife got sick. Very sick. He sold everything. His home, his company, his investments, trying to save her. Her heart dropped. He spent years caring for her until she passed. the older lawyer added. After that, he lost everything. Depression, debt, no family left. She pressed a hand over her mouth as tears stung her eyes. The morning you gave him breakfast, the lawyer said gently, was the first meal he had in 2 days. Her heart shattered. And the kindness you showed him, the lawyer paused, was the last act of compassion he received before his health declined. She froze. Wait, she whispered. Declined? What are you saying? The room went silent. Then the older lawyer delivered the words that made her entire world stop. Miss, Henry Cole passed away a week ago, and before he died, he left something for you. Her breath caught. For me? Yes, the lawyer said softly. He insisted. Her pulse raced. What did he leave? The younger lawyer reached into the briefcase. When he placed the item onto the table, her heart stopped. It was a key. A single silver key. But not just any key. It had her initials engraved. Her vision blurred as the lawyer said, Miss, Henry Cole left you everything he had rebuilt in secret. And he wanted you to know that the meal you gave him changed the last weeks of his life. She stared at the key, her hands trembling. What? She whispered, barely breathing. What exactly did he leave for me? The attorneys exchanged a look. Then one of them said, Miss, he left you an entire house. Her hand flew to her chest. A house? Why? For what reason? She whispered. The lawyer closed the file. For the reason he wrote in his final note, he said. What note? She asked urgently. He pulled out a sealed letter. Her heart thundered. This, he said, placing it gently into her shaking hands, was the message he wanted you to read alone. Her chest tightened. Her lungs froze. The room spun. She held the letter like it might break. Why me? She whispered. The older lawyer answered softly. Because he said you reminded him of hope. And with that, the entire world tilted beneath her. Her hands shook so hard she thought the letter might slip from her fingers. The lawyers excused themselves to wait outside the room, giving her space. The door closed softly, leaving her alone with the sealed envelope, thick, heavy, and marked with a single handwritten initial, HC. She took a shaky breath, slid her thumb under the flap, and carefully opened it. Inside was a small folded note, written in uneven handwriting, as if the writer's hands were weak, or he had been fighting time to get the words out. She unfolded it, and when she read the first line, her heart cracked open. To the young woman who reminded me I was still human. Her eyes blurred instantly. She blinked hard and kept reading. I don't know your name, but I know your kindness, and that is more important. A tear fell onto the paper. I spent many years losing things. My wife, my home, my purpose, myself. But the morning you handed me breakfast, you gave me something no one had given in a long time. Dignity. You didn't look away. You didn't judge. You spoke to me like I still mattered. Her throat tightened painfully. After that day, I found the courage to walk into a shelter. They helped me get medication, food, a place to rest. And I found out I didn't have much time left. No, she whispered, covering her mouth as tears streamed. I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of dying unseen. But because of you, I wasn't invisible anymore. She bent forward, breaking. I had no family left to give things to, no one to pass my last belongings to. But I wanted you to have something, not as payment, not as charity, but as a small thank you for the moment you gave me hope again. Her chest tightened as if someone squeezed her heart. This key is to a house I managed to protect long ago, the only thing from my old life I never lost. It needs repairs. It needs laughter. It needs someone with a good heart. She wiped her cheeks, trembling. I think you can bring it back to life, just like you brought me back to life for one morning. Her lips quivered. Live well, do good, and when the world feels cold, remember that even one simple act can warm someone's final days. Thank you for feeding me. Thank you for seeing me. Henry Cole. Her breath shattered. Her whole body folded over the letter as silent sobs racked her. She had expected, She didn't even know what she expected. But not this. Not a man with nothing leaving her everything. Not gratitude so deep it echoed through her bones. Not a goodbye from someone she barely knew, yet somehow understood completely. When the lawyers returned, they found her wiping her eyes with her sleeve. I'm okay," she whispered. But she wasn't okay. She was changed. "Miss," the older lawyer said gently, "per Mr. Cole's wishes, the property is legally yours. There is also a small savings account he rebuilt through part-time work and a few old investments." She blinked at him. "What kind of investments?" "Modest," he said, "but enough to repair the house and assist you with anything you want to build from it." Her heart thudded. "Build? From this? What am I supposed to do with a house from a stranger?" she whispered. The lawyer smiled softly. "Whatever your heart tells you." 2 days later, she stood outside the small house. It wasn't large. It wasn't fancy. Nothing like the mansions she grew up in. But the moment she stepped inside, she felt something warm settle in her chest. The floors creaked softly under her shoes. Dust floated in the sunlight streaming through the windows. The air held the quiet memory of a life with love in it. She walked room to room slowly, gently touching the faded walls. Then she reached the living room and stopped. A single framed photograph sat on the old fireplace mantel. A man and a woman, smiling, holding each other like home. Henry and his wife. She felt tears push up again. In front of the photograph sat one more folded note. Her heart stuttered as she opened it. "If you are reading this, it means I'm gone. Thank you for bringing light back into this house." Her breath trembled. "This home once held love. I hope it will again." She pressed the note to her chest, letting the moment wash through her. The house felt alive, waiting for warmth, waiting for a story, waiting for her. She wasn't sure why, but she already knew. She wasn't giving it up. She wanted to restore it. She wanted to fill it with life again. She wanted to honor him. A man she met only once, yet who had changed her life forever. Back at her mansion, her father's voice thundered from his office. "Where have you been? You missed the meeting. You cannot keep." She held up her hand. "I'm not here for the meetings." He blinked. "What do you mean?" She took a breath. For the first time in her life, she spoke calmly, her voice steady and clear. "I don't want the company, Dad. I want to do something that matters." His face fell. "Matter? The company? Money isn't meaning," she said softly. "People are." He stared at her like she had spoken in a foreign language. "What exactly are you planning to do?" She stepped back, heart pounding but mind clear. "I'm going to rebuild a house," she said. "And then, I'm going to rebuild lives." Weeks later, the old house looked different. Fresh paint, new windows, warm lights glowing through the evening dusk. She stood outside, watching the last carpenter leave, then turned the new key in the lock. Inside the living room, beside the old fireplace, she placed a brand new wooden sign. It read, "Henry's Place, a home for anyone who needs one." Her throat tightened with emotion, because this wasn't just a house anymore. It was a promise. A thank you. A legacy. A reminder that one plate of food, one moment of compassion, one human act of kindness can change a stranger's entire story. And sometimes can change yours too.